Hey Eric, this is Renee with Metal and Metal Out. How you doing? Eric, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Sure thing. Uh, y'all have some good stuff happening, man. Y'all just had your new album Circle of Darkness come out last. It's almost been about a month ago, right? In September.
Yeah, a little bit over a month now.
Yeah.
September 18th.
Yeah. So how has the reception been from what you've heard so far?
It's been really good. When you're releasing something, you feel very vulnerable because you're just kind of being judged. But the response has been really good. We've been getting a lot of really good reviews. It's definitely turned a lot of people onto us for sure. It's been great.
Yeah, I mean, from what I seen, just online through social media, a lot of the stuff. I mean, the name of the band keeps on popping up. Uh, whether the old school influences that you have, being very raw and just, I mean, y'all hit. Seems like y'all hit the mark with this album.
Yeah. I'm beyond happy with everything that the way everything has been going. I just wish we were touring. I wish we were on the road so bad.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's just would be the icing on the cake. Just being able to go out and tour.
Oh yeah, it would be absolutely amazing to be able to do right now, but hopefully sooner than later.
Yeah, hopefully. Now, when y'all were writing, now that the album's been out, have you been a little bit surprised about all the positive responses, or during the writing process, did you know you had something special?
I guess it would. It's probably a little bit of back and forth. Usually when I'm doing something, I stay very confident. Knowing that something good is going to come from it. Because you like to think you have like a good sense of what sounds good, right?
Right.
But there's definitely, I didn't really start to feel that way until it was about to come out. I started, that's when I started to think like, get those little like nervous thoughts or whatever. But as soon as it came out, all that just went away. You just remember that you're here for a reason, and just do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. Now, for the recording process, what did y'all come in with the songs already mostly constructed, or was there any stuff done in the studio?
So some of the solos I like to save for when I'm in the studio, just to like kind of catch a vibe. And just to really, you get to experiment a lot more when you're recording it versus when you're just playing along. So some of that stuff and some of the lyrics too. Like I didn't finish writing like No Respect for the Law. I had most of that written, but there was a couple parts, that I had to finish before the studio, and even some of the parts in the self-titled track I had to finish. Just little stuff, most of it's already pretty much done though, as far as like song structure and all that kind of stuff. The main part of the music itself, but lyrics sometimes I usually wait, mostly because I have to kind of catch some inspiration or something. Lyrics are definitely the hardest thing to like get done and out there.
Yeah. Now, do you think that most of these lyrics that you've put out on this album have come from the vibe that you felt off the songs, or maybe just the environment that we're in right now?
We finished writing this in October of last year, so the environment. But that's one thing too that like when I wrote the song "No Respect for the Law," that was before this stuff was happening. That the current climate that we're in right now, with how many people are actually starting to really see what's going on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so a lot of people think that I wrote that because of what's going on right now, but I wrote that last year, almost exactly a year ago, and that was something I was feeling then. I was watching a lot. I'm big into like wrongful convictions and the prison system and how that's all ran because it's a really fucked up system when you really break it down and if you're willing to listen and understand how it works. So I was very heavily influenced by like the documentary 13, the documentary about Khalif Browder. I mean, those songs those documentaries literally angered me. So I knew I had to say something about it on our record, even though I really don't want to get too political. But it just felt appropriate. Like that was probably the one thing I've never felt more inspired to write about ever. The other songs just kind of come with the flow. Sometimes I know what I'm going to write about, and it doesn't really have anything to do with the song. It's just a thought I had, and I go, okay, well, you know what? I'm thinking this right now, so I'm going to put it on this song because it just happens to be the one that I need lyrics to or whatever.
Yeah. One of the things that I noticed, being a fan of metal, since I grew up listening to metal, Kiss, ACD. I grew up through with all that stuff, and up until today, one of the things that's always been at least very evident is that metal music is can really take a stand, against injustices. I mean, sure, there are other, genres that touch on it a little bit, but consistently for decades, metal music has just put it in the forefront and shove it in your face and let you know, look, this shit is happening and this is wrong.
Agreed. I think the same thing. But also on the other side of it too, I think metal bands do need to kind of put their stances out there. Assuming that they're the correct, or I won't say correct, but
right.
We'll say ethics. I don't even know. I think you get what I'm trying to say. But put it out there because a lot of times the stigma that metalheads get is usually is not very good.
Yeah.
So if you can get out there what you want, or what you're believing in, or whatever, I think that's good. So that some people do know where you're at because. I don't think you necessarily have to be a political band, but I think most of the time as fans, it's very, it feels good to know that bands that you're listening to or people that you admire stand on the same side as you,
Right. No, for sure. I mean, yeah, and you're exactly right to where it's not so much that they have to take a political stance, but there is a way to construct the lyrics to where it reverberates, in all different languages, in all different climates, and throughout the years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed, 100%.
Yeah, because I don't know how far back you go, but I remember listening to maybe like Minor Threat way back when in the day when they started like with the straight edge movement and stuff like that, and for myself growing up as a kid, they're like, okay, well this makes sense to me, to where it just kind of fueled my thoughts.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when I was getting into, I'm 31, so when I was getting into music, my bands at the time that were kind of the same vibe as you with the Minor Threat, but it was more like bands like Bane and Champion, and they were kind of on that same vibe where it was really just more about like a positive lifestyle, also straight edge too. I was straight edge up until high school, but literally pretty much the day I got out of high school, that ended real quick.
Right. Who was it?
Yeah, we were actually, my drummer that was in the band right now probably had a lot to do with it.
Yeah, but it's a good thing, But I mean, that's how powerful that music can be. And the lyrics that you have in this album too. It's gonna be influential for other people and maybe realize or even wake up to some of the injustice that we have. So it's gonna be a great thing.
Yeah, and I definitely, I always worry writing lyrics sometimes, man, because some people can't really differentiate the difference between what's real and what's fake. Sometimes you try to write something that's like strictly fantasy, it could be something extremely brutal, and people might take it literal, like, oh, is this what you really think? Like, no,
yeah,
but it just sounds crazy, bro. That's the point,
Right. Well, I mean, I think there's been interviews with Slayer too. They're like, come on, are you serious? Like, who's gonna take our lyrics seriously? I mean, you would have mass murders all over the place.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, the same people that say that shit are the same people that are going to go home and watch some crazy fucked up movie,
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, what's the difference? There's literally, I'm doing it with words and you're visually watching it now, so what's worse,
Right. Yeah. To each his own. So anyway,
yeah, exactly.
So for yourself, you play guitar. How long have you been playing guitar, and who was that guitar player that kind of made you say, you know what, I want to do that too?
For me, my first, I was playing guitar pretty much like as soon as I was pretty much born. My dad plays guitar, and
oh yeah,
I mean, he was relentless when I was young. Where's your guitar? Where's your guitar? Where's your guitar? Why aren't you playing? Why aren't you playing? I mean, nonstop, like schooling me. Eddie Van Halen didn't, he would sit in his room for hours and hours and hours, and this guy would sit in his room for hours and hours. He wouldn't go out. They just play guitar. I mean, he would pound it in my head, that if I want to be good, I got to keep playing.
Yeah.
And my first person that I fell in love with on guitar was Ace Frehley, 100%.
Yeah.
I was a big time Kiss fan when I was a kid, completely obsessed. I mean, it was really the first band that I would listen to just nonstop. It wasn't until I got a little bit, I'm talking when I'm like between the ages of like 7 and 10 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then later my love kind of turned into like Randy Rhoads and Iommi because I got turned on to Sabbath and, Ozzy solo stuff and things like that. But that's what kind of got me into the more like metal side of things.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I recently watched that Ozzy Osbourne documentary on YouTube, and that was pretty great because it covered the album Blizzard of Oz, which of course Randy Rhoads was, a great part of.
And I haven't seen that yet. It's on YouTube, you said?
Yeah, it was on YouTube, and it was free for. I'm thinking it was free for like about a week, but it was pretty awesome to see some rare photos and see. They even played some tracks from just Randy just shredding on the guitar, which is freaking awesome.
Oh yeah, he was a fucking man for sure.
Yeah, you definitely got to check it out. So, also talking about your sound now, you're to me, because I mean I'm a little bit older than you are. I'm 45, so I kind of grew up in a few decades different types of metal. It's very reminiscent of like 80s and 90s crossover. So for some people that are not familiar, crossover was kind of like a mix of thrash and hardcore. Is that something that was kind of intentional, or that's just what came out of you?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was definitely intentional. We wanted to sound exactly like early 90s, late 80s metal. Especially like, all the Scott Burns era stuff. Like, that was like definitely what we were going for. Specifically like, a Rise Sepultura sound, stuff like that. We just wanted to make it just a little more heavier. That was really the main goal was, okay, how can I have this same 90s sound going on, that was going on in thrash that kind of had the heavier aspects to it, but then also incorporate, the 90s death metal sound that was going on too, and making them work.
Yeah. And that's very difficult to do because not many bands, there's a lot of bands that try to emulate that. And right now there's kind of resurgence of trying to sound like a little bit, older thrash band, but it's very hard to accomplish that. But I think y'all were able to somehow magically time travel and get some of that sound and bring it up to date.
Yeah, I appreciate that too. It's definitely what we're going for. I think the main thing bands miss out on when they try to do that is they don't think realistic sometimes. Like when you're trying to mix the genres together, you can't make it sound like this is thrash and this is death metal. You have to kind of make it all one thing. You can't really there's a lot of bands that are coming out now that are like ex-hardcore guys doing death metal, which a lot of them are really badass. A lot of them are my homies and they're doing badass bands, but there's a lot of newer like younger kids doing it and they just can't get away from hardcore. They want to do death metal, but they cannot stop going back to playing hardcore with death metal tuning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's stuff like that. You just got to be realistic in what you're writing.
Yeah. Now, during the writing process, was there any one song that you just could not get fully constructed or gave you a little bit more difficult time?
Honestly, the self-titled "Circle of Darkness," the song was probably the most difficult one. I wasn't. There is actually, if you listen to that song, the way it ends on this chord B chord. Well, actually, it would be. Whatever, it ends on this chord, and there's actually another part of that song, probably another 30 seconds, but I was in the studio, I wasn't in the studio, but I was talking with Arthur, and I was like, man, just cut that half off. I was like, I don't even want it in here anymore, I had like the lyrical content pretty much done, what I was going to do, but I wasn't quite sure and how it was going to go, because, if you listen to that song, when the chorus first comes in, there's no vocals on it. And then the second half there is, and then when you go to the next chorus, there's vocals over the whole entire thing, which I was battling if I wanted to do that or not. I mean, that was definitely the song where I was like, man, I just don't know what I should do, I just gotta just own it, I guess.
Yeah. Now, do you find yourself like being too hard on yourself when you're writing music?
To an extent. extent, yeah. But there's a lot to be said when a lot of people fall into this thing when they're writing where they get caught up in perfecting it too much, and I try not to do that. If I write something and I think it sounds good right there and then, I'm leaving it. For the most part, I will not touch it unless I'm adding like vocals or something, and I can kind of hear something cool that I could do in the music to maybe like help the vocals or do something with the vocals. But I definitely try not to be that type of person to be like nitpicking to the point where the song never comes out or it takes X amount of time to make it.
Yeah, sometimes simplicity is the best, man.
Yeah, and when I went to school for music, man, I didn't realize how many people out there are like that, where they'll like work on, they'll just never put anything out. They'll work on something for years, an EP or anything for years, and they just won't put it out. It's like, what are you doing, dude? Just put it out.
Yeah. Maybe it's that fear of whether somebody's gonna like it, but
that's definitely what it is for sure.
Yeah,
100%.
As I've interviewed different bands, but some of the things that one of the recurring themes has been, some of these older bands is that they put out music just for themselves, and if people are gonna like it, they're gonna like it.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, that's how you should really think, though. Like. At the end of the day, if you put yourself in a position to where you can like objectively listen to your music, a lot of times I sit there and think, would I like this if it wasn't me?
Yeah.
I'll sit there and think that, or I'll even show it to my friends, that I know, would like this kind of music. And if I get a certain rise out of them with certain songs, then I know, okay, this is the one. This is this part. I'm onto something here.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's I guess a confirmation that you're doing something right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So unfortunately, there's no way to avoid this. With everybody's just suffering right now with not able to tour. Not only just the bands, but everybody that supports. Everything that's going on behind the scenes. But for yourself and the band, how have y'all been able to kind of keep busy and kind of keep productive?
We've just been, we practice once or twice a week, depending on everyone's schedule. Right now, we're getting ready to do a live stream, so we've just been really grinding that out. I just did a guitar playthrough video, and, we're trying to stay active on social media. Anyone that messages us or says anything, we always, engage and talk to everybody, and just trying to stay active, just trying to say, hey, we're still here, for the most part.
Right.
There's not a really whole lot you can do. We've gotten asked to play some shows. People want to do like some outside events and stuff like that, but we don't really want to perpetuate the problem.
Yeah.
We kind of want it to go away. So
yeah, for sure.
I don't think anybody should really be playing shows right now, because I feel like if you're in music, you want this to go away, right? We don't want this to stick around. So if you're playing shows, you're kind of perpetuating the problem.
Right. Yeah, you're just making it linger.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't think that having 100 people show up, quote unquote, social distancing at your show is helping or not helping the problem, it's definitely not.
Yeah.
Might maybe helping yourself. I mean, trust me, I'd love to play in front of people even if they're 20 feet away from me. I don't care, but it's just, it is what it is.
Yeah. And another one of the dangerous things, especially for artists, artists, musicians, anybody that uses something to express themselves, right now not being able to tour for some people is, very hard mentally. How, for yourself, how you've been able to kind of, keep occupied or things to kind of keep some good mental health.
Yeah. I mean, like, the not playing part is terrible, but what I'm finding as of late to be even harder is the fact that, like, I got a lot of friends that are in music, in big bands and this and that and whatever. And, I haven't seen any of them. I'm used to seeing them, 3-4 times a year, whether I'm in their city or they're in my city. And,
yeah,
that's the weird part for me, So a lot of it's been like, I'll FaceTime some people just to see them, and stuff like that. I mean, that's really the more difficult thing for me right now. It's just, okay, I'm kind of past the fact, okay, I'm not going to play shows. But then it's like, I started thinking about, like, man, I haven't seen this dude in a year, and I'm so used to seeing this guy 3-4 times a year, and a lot of people like that.
Yeah, it's missing your big musical family.
Yeah, and even on a local level, I mean, there's certain people, and I'm sure everyone has the same thing. There's certain people that I only see at shows. I won't see them nowhere else. I mean,
Yeah,
that might be the only way I literally know them. It's just going to the show.
yeah, yeah. It's crazy times, man. You did mention that you are going to be setting up a live stream. You know, how difficult is that to make happen?
Right now, I can tell you right now it's been fairly difficult. We just we wanted to make sure that we were going to give something that was quality.
Yeah,
I didn't want to give somebody, I don't want to just play in front of my phone. You know what I mean? I want it to be a very nice production, lighting, camera angles. I want it to be nice.
yeah,
Something that is definitely interesting. Because I mean, watching just a band play in front of their phone, man, it's cool. It's cool to see, but the look of it overall is just not very good. I want something that's very visually like stimulating, just as much as the music is.
yeah.
It sounds really good. So if you're at home, listening to it on your computer with some good speakers or whatever, it's gonna bang.
Right. Have you yourself purchased any of these live streams from any of these bands?
No, I was supposed to go watch the Behemoth one with my singer, but I ended up. I'm a dad too. We're all pretty much dads, so
Yeah.
I had to do the dad life. But
Oh
I
man.
watched. I don't know if Black Diamond Murders was a live stream, but I watched their like show that they had. I know Power Trip had a live show thing that I watched too. I'm trying to think of what other ones. Rhythm of Fears. They did some stuff that I watched. I missed the obituary one. Same reason. I was just dad mode, but
Right.
I wanted to watch the obituary one. I know they're doing another one. I think of one of their other
Slowly
records.
we rot.
Yeah. Well, I think they're doing another one now because they just did that one.
Oh, did they? Oh shit! I guess I missed it.
Yeah, they just did that one. Like I think it was yesterday. It might have been yesterday or 2 days ago.
Oh shit!
I'm sure. I mean, most of them you can go ahead and they'll like release it afterwards.
Right.
So that you can go see it again. But like they're definitely doing another one.
Yeah.
I can't think of it right now.
But you're right.
Yeah, they're gonna do another one of Cause of Death. That's what it is.
Oh yes. But you're right. It's, setting up that big production it takes a lot. It's not something you can just like, okay, guys, let's go ahead and do this tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure. And then you got to think about lighting. That's a guy, or and then engineer. That's another guy who's on set mixing for you guys. And
Yeah.
and 3-4 cameras. That's each a person. So
Yeah.
it's expensive too.
Hell yeah. Yeah, for sure. Now, we're hoping this will eventually, we'll get over the hump of this pandemic. Have y'all, by any chance, started making plans for 2021? Maybe any summer festivals or anything to look out for?
So we don't have anything booked as of right now. Really, what it's been is, we have a tour agent and our manager, and they're always, they're the ones that are keeping up with when I would say like when they think it's gonna be good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like before, just for example, a few months ago I was hearing, February of next year is when all these bands are gonna start.
Right.
February 2021. And then that got pushed, and then that got pushed. So they're constantly keeping up. So that way whenever it does become normal, that we'll be ready.
Yeah.
But there isn't anything really booked right now. I mean, at this point, I think it's almost I've been seeing a lot of bands announce stuff, and as they announce it, I'm like, that's not gonna happen. I mean, I'll literally look right at it, and that's not happening.
Right.
I know that they're gonna have to announce again that you're canceling, but
right.
At least it's content, I suppose.
Yeah.
Something that they're posting.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's something also for the fans to show the fans that that the band is at least trying, to get out there.
Fair enough. Yeah, like it's rough. I mean, right now, as far as I know, man, the only places I'm really hearing about is like Europe.
Yes.
Because Europe supposedly has really taken care of this virus the way that we should have.
Yeah,
And
no kidding. Man, it's a joke what we've been doing.
yeah, and I don't. At this point, I just wish that everyone could just understand. Like, look, man, like, put away the views and just do whatever it takes at this point, man. Because the only people that are truly suffering are people in the entertainment industry,
Right.
and they don't care. I mean, most people just don't care. They don't even think of it as like. I was having a conversation with my uncle who's in his 80s, and he was like, "Oh, well, there's no money in that anyway." So there's no money in that. Like, dude,
Oh my
you're talking
gosh.
about festivals that are millions and millions of dollars go into these. You know, just for example, not one that I really care about, but like a festival like Coachella. You know how much money goes into that? I mean, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
And all the workers, and I mean, we're the ones really suffering. All these people that don't wear masks or whatever, they don't see that shit because they don't care. You know?
Right.
So it's rough. I just want it to go away.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the problem with today, man, is like, before the internet, you'd actually have to research and go somewhere like a library or whatever, get a book, and actually have to research something to say that you know it.
Yeah.
Now. And then it turned into, well, now you can look up the internet and get the answers. Well, now you can go on the internet and literally get whatever you want. It doesn't matter if it's right, wrong.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter. You can get whatever you want. You can type in that question however way you want to word it, and someone out there is going to agree with you and say you're right.
Yeah.
So, it's fucked up.
Yeah, you'll have a blogger support you somehow.
Exactly. I mean, I've worked in like the grow industry, and all these new growers, they'll be like, oh, well, I read here and I read there. I said, dude, you're reading on a forum, bro. That guy could be in his mom's basement and grew one plant. He don't know shit.
Right.
And he's sitting here telling you like he's some master. There's a lot of people that fall victim to that shit.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Too bad. Well, one of the things that you did mention is how expensive that putting on this live stream is going to be. So for fans to be able to kind of help support you, what can they do right now besides purchasing the album? What else can they do?
That for sure. And then we're gonna be dropping some new merch here. We're just waiting on artwork, so we'll be dropping some new merch here in like probably the next week. That would definitely that would help us probably the most if you purchase some merch. The live stream is going to be I can't really say too much, but it's going to be dope. It's going to be a lot of really good bands on it. It's going to be like a package type deal, so
very cool.
It'll be real cool. Definitely check that out. And just the best thing you can do for us right now, aside from buying stuff, is just posting and sharing. Try to get us on your friends' radars. Show people. That's really the best thing that could happen right now.
Yeah, and it doesn't cost anything to share.
It costs nothing to show love, man. It costs more to hate than it does to show love. So
right.
Always show love.
Yeah, always show that share button, like it. Try to show to show it to as many people as possible. That's the best thing we can do for everybody in the music industry.
Exactly, especially these newer bands like us and stuff. We really could use, because touring is the biggest way for us to really get out there.
Yes.
And get people going. And without that right now, we definitely need to. We're relying on people to help us get out there. You know?
And that's what was the thing I was talking to a friend of mine that's who's going to take. From the music industry, that's who's going to take the biggest hit is going to be the younger bands, because you're not able to tour and promote it and get it out there as much. It's going to be rough.
Yeah. I mean, because I was talking with somebody before, and they were like, oh, well, so-and-so's having a drive-through thing. And I'm like, dude, you're talking about Metallica. Like, you know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Like, that's what I'm supposed to do? Like, do a drive-through live stream? Like, come on, man. That's not even practical,
Right.
So those big bands, they can do, not only do they already have a substantial amount of wealth, but, I mean, they can do literally anything, and people are going to buy it, or, people are so hip,
Yeah. They'll in troves. They're going to be there.
Yeah.
So we, kind of coming to the conclusion of our interview, Eric. Is there anything else that you would like to promote for the band, or any parting words?
Yeah, just hit us up on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Bandcamp. We just dropped a guitar playthrough on YouTube. We got three other videos up for our music. Our tag is Plaguears MI. Just hit us up. Buy Circle of Darkness out on E1, and just come say what's up.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Eric, thank you very much. As soon as that's all that news information comes out about the stream, I mean, I'll be promoting it as much as possible too, man. I wish you the best.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks. You take care.
Have a good one.
Bye.